back to my channel. So, let's talk about books. So today, we're going to talk about a book that I just finished reading and that kind of hit me right in the feels. And that book is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. Now, this book, we join a 17-year-old boy named Griffin who is grieving and dealing with the death of his first love, Theo. We start in New York City at Theo's funeral, where Griffin has to not only confront grieving people, have to deal with his parents trying to comfort him, but he also has to see and acknowledge Theo's current or most recent boyfriend, Jackson. This book is really, really good. I adored this book, and it actually really did touch on a lot of things. It touched on how everybody's not really perfect. It touched on life and love and loss. This book is amazingly written. Adam does an amazing job of telling a story because he tells it in two different timelines. You have the present, where Griffin is trying to deal with and learn how to go on without Theo. And then you have the past that shows how Theo and Griffin met, how they fell in love, and how Theo eventually leaves for California to go to college and meets Jackson. I normally don't cry when I read a book, but when it started, it's describing specific things, I caught myself reaching for a hanky or two. This book made me think of the times where I've lost someone and how I dealt with it. And the way that Griffin deals with it isn't necessarily healthy. It's not necessarily not healthy. But I love the fact that Adam writes them as if they are non-perfect characters, because as humans, we are not perfect. It is just a really, really good read, and I love the fact that though Griffin doesn't like Jackson, they realize that the two of them are the only two that are going to understand each other, and they form a kind of bond based on that. I love the LGBTQ themes in here. I love the fact that it shows that love is love no matter who or what you are. This is a really good book to pick up if you don't mind a bit of a tearjerker. I did find myself crying on one page and laughing on the next page. It was just phenomenal, and I love the way that Adam writes, and I can't wait to read his other books that he's written. This one was a good intro into this author who I've never read before. I've never read any of Adam's books before, so this book was a really good introduction into his world and the way he writes. I'm going to go into spoiler territory like I usually do. If you haven't read this book yet, go read it and leave. Leave the video now. I won't be offended, I promise. And if you have read it, let's talk about some things. Everybody gone? Good. So, there were a lot of things in this book that happened that caught me off guard. For instance, one, I thought I had this book pegged. Halfway through it, I thought, oh, okay, he loses Theo and gets together with Jackson. Alright. Wonder how that happens. But no, Adam sucker punches me and throws Wade into the mix. Wade, the other friend, the third wheel. Who knew? Also, it kind of hurt, and I cried a lot more than I probably should have when he described how both Jackson and Griffin blamed themselves for Theo's death that day. I have no idea how it would feel to watch your friend, your lover, your other half drown in front of you and not know what to do. And that's exactly how Jackson feels. Jackson, he saw Theo drowning and had no idea what to do, didn't run in there like Griffin thinks he should have, but he did go get a lifeguard, which is probably the best thing you could have done. But on the other hand, you have Griffin. Griffin finds out that Theo would not have gone anywhere into the water if he hadn't received a message from Griffin that same day that made him upset and made him have to take a minute and a break, and he walked into the water. It hurt me. It hurt. It made me cry. It made me really sad, because we've all had those thoughts of what ifs. What if I hadn't said that? If I hadn't done that, would this have happened? And we blame ourselves. But that is something you should never blame yourself for, and these two boys are sitting here and blaming themselves about the boy they love's death. It was painful to read. It was really hard, and I love the fact that they do tell Theo's mom, that they feel this way at some point in the book, and that his mom says, no, no, it's nobody's fault. No one could have guessed what would have happened to Theo. Don't blame yourselves. And that's a really, really tough thing. Also, it struck a chord with me, not a chord with me, but it hit close to home with the fact that Griffin has OCD. And they never say that that's what it is. They call it his tics. They call it his quirks. But they never say that it's OCD. He has obsessive compulsive disorder, which I have. So reading about his little tics and his little tendencies and his little things that he has to do, it made him an imperfect character, but still he was perfect. His narrative, the way he talks, perfect. I loved it. So him having to walk on the left side, him having to have things in even numbers, all those things I could totally relate to. And it made him seem more human. So guys, that's all I have to say about this beautiful book, History is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. If you want to read this book, I highly recommend that you pick it up at your local bookstore. It is also available on Audible as an audiobook. But as always, if you liked my video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Later!